Hi, Audrey, Sophia, Michael, and Ren, if you are watching this video. Um, Today's lesson, a little bit different. I want to talk about something that's very important to me, and that I think you might find interesting, and it's called solarpunk. And now, so what is solarpunk? Solarpunk is a movement, and it started out on Tumblr in like 2016-ish, as kind of an art movement, an aesthetics movement, and its goal was to envision a better future, because so much of our media talks about all the problems we're facing right now, with the climate change, with like fascism, all the inequality in our world, and all this stuff that's really concerning, and it paints a very bleak picture of the future, So cyberpunk is kind of like the genre that comes to mind. Um, and so solarpunk seeks to combat that, right? By envisioning a better future that is based around sustainability, equity, not equality, right? So equity being you don't want to give everyone the exact same thing, which would be equality. We all have the exact same thing, because people need different things, right? So you want equity, which is to say people get what they need. Sustainability, equity, inclusivity, right? We don't want any of the bigotry that persists so much in our world. And we generally just want people to have a good and happy and bright future. And so solarpunk is a movement that has grown from this art movement on Tumblr to now be all over the world, and people are doing all sorts of things. So of course people are still making art for it, because art is so important to these kinds of social movements, because art is how where our ideas come from, right? It's hard to work towards something if you don't have a vision for it, and art can provide that vision. But there's also people who are doing political movements, making political organizations based around the idea of solarpunk. People are creating solarpunk technologies, right? Because a lot of people think when you talk about lowering energy consumption, or like lowering our carbon footprint, is that we have to give up a lot of the technology we have in our life, a lot of the comfort it brings with it. But that's not necessarily true. Is we have to find a way of achieving those same goals in a more sustainable fashion. And so people are creating solarpunk technology that merges our understanding and wisdom of nature and the climate with our understanding of technology in order to create a more sustainable future. And then there's also a cultural component of it, right? The inclusivity, the kind of global nature of the problems we face, so being able to connect between communities all over the world, and to share knowledge, share information, and share resources freely between us, with the goal of helping one another. Like, it's not a competition where we're trying to be better than people in a different country or in a different place. It's what do they need that we have that we can give them, and what do we need that they have that they can give us, so everyone's doing better, right? Like, that's the core of solarpunk. And the reason I want to talk about this, and it's so important to me, is because, like, I really struggle. Like, I put on a very happy face and a brave face for all of you guys, because I know you're struggling too, right? Like, what's going on in the world right now is scary. Don't get me wrong, it's terrifying. But solarpunk offers hope. It offers us a path forward to not make the scary stuff go away, but to help us overcome it, right? Like, there's this idea that bravery isn't not being afraid. Bravery is being afraid, but still pushing through and overcoming that fear to do what you're trying to do, right? The fear is with you, but you can still work. And so to me, solarpunk is an avenue for that bravery. And I want to share it with you. Because what we need in the solar punk movement is more art, more ideas, and especially from young people, right? I say I'm 27, right? I'm not that old. I mean, to you, I'm probably ancient, but I'm not that old. But even now, I am growing less sensitive to the new things coming up in the world, right? In Montessori education, we talk about how children and adolescents are primed to adapt to their environment. So you guys are going to see things that I don't see. You're going to see solutions and you're going to see problems, right? And that's really important for us older folks to listen to you and to follow what you're doing, right? And to support you in those endeavors. So that's why I want to introduce you to this idea of solar punk, so that you can have this awareness and be on the lookout for these things and come up with ideas. So I'm going to do a little walk around of where I live, and this is going to be to show you some of the things that I've done and that my partner has done in order to kind of live out this solar punk ethos. So I think one of the first things that's really important is this idea of living with nature. We're not separate from it, we're not above it, we're not conquerors of it, we're a part of it, right? And this doesn't mean you have to go live in a tent in the woods all the time. But this means you need to have an understanding and a connection to the land around you, right? And I think for most of you watching that this is already something you possess. So that's a great start. So like one of the things that I did when I moved to this new place a few months ago was I started learning all my local friends, right? I went around and I learned the names of all of these plants. And I just learned the common names because the Latin for the scientific names is hard. But you, if you want to one-up me, learn all the scientific names. So, like this is goldenrod, specifically canadensis, so I know that scientific name. This is multiflora rose, which is an invasive, and we'll talk about that in a second. This tree here is a white ash. Audrey, I know you got some of those growing by you. Actually, this is all white ash. And then, we have our common, like, crabgrass and the turf grasses that are so common here in America, right? And so what this has allowed me to do is, okay, so now I have a connection with the land. I appreciate it. I love sitting out here and watching the bees on the flowers and just spending time doing that. But it also has given me an understanding of what's going on in the landscape around me and where there's problems, right? So if we come over here, this clearing was completely filled with rose, dead rose bush, right? And that's the invasive I mentioned earlier, the multiflora rose. It also had some buckthorn, which is another invasive. And it was dead and dry. You could touch it and it would shatter. That's how dry it was. And now, with climate change going on, you've probably noticed that, like, this year was really hot and dry, and the past couple summers have been really hot and dry. And, like, when I was a kid, that wasn't really the case for the summers. And if you talk to your parents or your grandparents, you'll probably find out that that wasn't really the case for them either, that there has been a continual shift in our environment over these past decades. Which means we're at risk for forest fires, or we're starting to come into that territory. And I'm sure you've heard about that, like, in California and in Canada, how that's like a really big issue. And so, but that sounds scary, but it's okay because we can prepare for it, and we can make the environment ready for that. Because before European colonists came to this land, it burned regularly, and that was part of the healthy maintenance of the ecosystem, right? Particularly grass fires would burn out, and this would stimulate new growth, and this would clear areas for, like, food-producing plants. And while it would be great to just do that and restore the land in that way, the problem we run into is that there's all these invasives and this growth because it hasn't been burned in hundreds and hundreds of years, because the Europeans changed how we relate to fire. And so if we tried to burn it now, it would be a disaster because there's too much fuel. And so what we do by clearing out this dead stuff and picking up the big branches and logs off the ground and burning them, like in our fire pit over here, in like this small, controlled fashion, is we're preparing the land for that fire. So if and when the fire does occur, it's not going to be devastating. It's going to follow that natural tendency of like a low energy grass fire that's going to invigorate the land. It's going to clean up the invasives. It's going to do wonderful things for the native seed bank, because there's a lot of seeds in it that need the fire in order to properly grow. But because we took out all this excess fuel, it's not going to hurt the trees, right? If that clearing went up while all the dead wood was still in it, all the trees there would burn down. But if just the grasses burn, it'll go through so quick the trees will be fine, and now there'll be a nice layer of nutrients from the ash of the burnt grasses to help reinvigorate the soil. So like, this is a solar punk approach to land management. Let's see, as part of that too, so food is a big issue. And Audrey, I know like your family is vegan, and so this is a really important thing to you. Factory farming is incredibly harmful, not just to the animals involved in it, but to our environment, and it's a problem that we need to solve. So, as part of that, we've planted some fruit trees here. We have 2 apple trees and a peach tree. Now, this isn't going to save us from having to go to the grocery store, but this is going to give us access to fresh fruit that we don't have to pay for, that isn't using all the resources of getting, going through the farming process, because I can just come out here next year and pick an apple, right? And as these trees grow, we can graft new ones and we can increase our abundance. That's another core component of solar punk, is we want to create abundance, so you don't need to rely on these bigger systems to get what you need. That the world should just have abundance within it, so you don't need to worry about things like getting fresh fruit and veggies. And I know a lot of you garden already, and it's like, that's a very solar punk thing to do. And again, it's about creating these new systems, these new ways of living. Or not new, but changing, right? Let's see here. And then there's other things like these lessons, right? All of you, all 3 of you, I've gotten feedback is that you would love to have me as your teacher, and that makes me so happy. I'm really honored that you think that highly of me, and I would love to teach at your schools. But one of you's in New Mexico, one of you's in Ohio, and one of you's in New York. I can't be all those places, I'm sorry. So instead, what I can do is I can make videos like this. I can make lessons like this, and so you still get some of that teaching, right? It's not the same as me being in the classroom with you, and I really wish I could do that, truly. I want to build a community, I want to build a school, but that's still a ways off for me. But I'm able to share this knowledge with you, and you guys are going to be able to talk to one another. I want to set up a Discord server where we can all hang out and learn together and share information. And because I know some of you have projects planned that you want to do and share with me, which is really wonderful. It's inspiring, really. But we can create this kind of digital community to achieve these same ends, right? Because if you feel like you're not getting what you need out of your school or your education, I can't magically snap my fingers and change the whole education system in the United States, but I can, tutor you, give you these videos, talk to you, and hopefully inspire you to be curious and to keep learning. And to me, that's another solar punk idea, because we're seeing the problem, you're dissatisfied with school, and we're finding a solution, which is, okay, let's make some videos that you're actually interested in learning from. you know? And this is a very rough explanation of solarpunk, but I hope I'm getting the idea across of like, yes, things are really scary, yes, we're facing these huge problems, but there are things we can do to fix them, right? And I want to inspire you to be looking for those solutions and to try putting them into action and to try getting the adults in your life to participate in that change. And it's not going to be easy, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort, and that's okay, right? We're all learning, we're all still figuring this out, but this is how we move forward. And I hope that this gives you some peace of mind and some comfort in knowing that you're not alone in these struggles, that there's a lot of us out there who see these problems and are trying our hardest to make change. And I want to give you an avenue for you to participate in that change, for you to lend your strength to this effort of change. And that's it. That's solarpunk to me. You know, I really hope that makes sense. Please, please, please. I still need to figure out an easy way for you guys to get questions to me, but if you tell the adults in your life who know me, they tell me, you know, they'll get back to me, and we'll create this kind of telephone chain until we can get a more direct form of communication set up. Yeah, love one another, love yourselves, love the land you're on, love the people around you, and stay strong. We got this. We're gonna figure this out, okay? Bye.